In this video, I'm going to break down a model that almost never disappoints. Every time I sit down to trade, this is the setup I'm actively looking for. The reason I say it barely ever fails is because I honestly don't have enough examples of it breaking down. It performs that consistently. That's why I named it the matrix model, because it somehow escapes the matrix of normal market behavior. This is the setup you should keep an eye out for every time you open your charts. In my view, it's one of the highest quality opportunities you can find. I want to explain why it's so reliable, what the market is actually doing during this setup, and how you can clearly identify it on the charts and understand what it really looks like. For the matrix model to work, it needs three things happening in sequence. First, there has to be some kind of higher time frame manipulation, like a clean liquidity to sweep that clears out one side of the market. After that, you need a second manipulation on the lower time frame, which confirms that the initial sweep wasn't random and that the market is actually shifting direction. And finally, the setup completes with an inverse fair value gap, which becomes the area where the actual entry shows up once both manipulations are done. So this is how a bearish example of this model looks. First, we need a liquidity sweep. And in this case, we have a clean buy-side liquidity sweep right here. After that, we need a lower time frame manipulation, which you can see happening here. And finally, we get an inverse fair value gap. And that's the zone we'll be using to take our trades. Now let me take you to the bullish example of this model. First, we get a liquidity sweep, and here you can see the sell side liquidity being taken out. Once that happens, we get our lower time frame manipulation, which forms right here. And after that, the market gives us an inverse fair value gap, and that's the zone we'll be using to take our long trades. Now, this is how a bullish trade looks in the real market. First, there's a swing low that gets taken out. We mark that as sell side liquidity. Next, we look for a lower time frame manipulation. This is what that looks like. We mark the candle that took the liquidity and then wait for another candle to reach that low or high and close inside, just like this. After that, we identify an inverse fair value gap, which you can see right here. Now, we place our order on the inverse, set the stop below the low, and target a 1.3 risk to reward ratio. Once price hits around 1.2 risk to reward, we can move to break even and take partials. After that, you can see how easily the price moves to give us our target. Here's another example. First, we have a sell side liquidity sweep, followed by the manipulation candle right here. After that, we spot the inverse fair value gap on the 1-minute time frame, just like before. We place our order at the inverse, set the stop below the low, and target a static 1:3 risk to reward ratio. Now let me show you the next example. Here we have another clean sell side liquidity sweep, and right after that we get the manipulation candle. Once that's confirmed, we look for a 1-minute inverse fair value gap, which you can see right here. And just like before, we take our entry at the inverse, place the stop loss below the low, and target the same structure for the trade. Now for the last example. Here we have a buy-side liquidity sweep, and right after that, we get a minor manipulation, just like we've seen before. Once that happens, we look for an inverse fair value gap on the 1-minute time frame, and we have it right here. Same process again. We enter at the inverse, place the stop above the high, and target the same structure as before. Look how easy it is. The model plays out clean every single time. So, thank you for watching. If you actually want to learn this model properly, feel free to join my Telegram and Discord. Everything I teach there in detail. And if you want live trading, direct guidance, or one on one support from me, just drop me a message on Discord. We'll talk and I'll guide you personally.